U-boats played an extremely important role in World War II. Winston Churchill even famously claimed that peril from U-boats was the only thing that really frightened him during the conflict. However, how is that possible? How did that happen? To understand it, we need to look back to the year 1919. The Versaille Peace Treaty that brought World War I to an end was signed on the 28th of June, 1919. It put several restrictions on the German Reich Navy, and one of the most important consequences of the treaty was the denial of development and building of submarines. It was plain and simple, but the German Reich was not intending to obey it and had different plans. To comply with a provision of the treaty, while keeping certain activities secret, the U-boat's development and testing was planned to be done abroad. In 1922, a dummy company named IVS was founded by 3 German shipyards, and its head office was located in The Hague, Netherlands. This company was created with just one objective in mind: to work around restrictions put on Germany, and its creation played a major role in the foundation of Kriegsmarine. The first order for the German submarines came from Turkey. IVS designed 2 new U-boats based on type UB-3 submarine from World War I. Both submarines were constructed in Rotterdam and sold to Turkey in 1927. The next submarine, Submarino E-1, was built in a shipyard in Spain, but as the Spanish government lost interest, it ended up being sold to Turkey. More orders followed, and it needs mentioning that many of IVS employees were former Imperial German Navy and Kriegsmarine personnel. That means they were getting access to submarine prototypes, information on how they worked, and what obstacles crews were coming across. Wilhelm Canadas ordered establishing a special submarine office as early as 1925, and the training program had started, initially, with just theoretical lectures. The situation started to change after the NSDAP, National Socialistic Party, took power in January of 1933. As the restrictions started to faint, the new government was openly supporting a fleet construction program. Priority was given to large surface vessels, but at the same time, it was planned to build 16 U-boats by 1938. In the end, the plans had to be revised, and construction concentrated on producing smaller submarines than planned, just 250 tons instead of 8 500 tons and 8 800 tons. On 2 February 1933, it was decided to establish a submarine training facility at Kielvik. Although it was named Anti-Submarine Warfare School, its purpose was totally different. This innocent name was just an illusion, as to fight submarines, you need to know how they operate. At the same time, the decision was made to construct the first U-boats at the Deutschwerke shipyard in Kiel. To disguise what was going on, a construction hall was erected. More work was going on, but because the German government was seeking agreement with Great Britain regarding the future of the fleet construction program, many things were kept secret. From the following year, 1935, all the work was becoming more and more open, and on 18 June 1935, the Anglo-German Naval Agreement was signed. That practically meant end of a ban imposed by the Versailles Treaty that consequently allowed the Nazis to construct a submarine fleet, initially only as big as 45% of the total tonnage of the British one, but with an option to extend it to 100%, which finally was taken by Germany on 10 December 1938. The first U-boat to be commissioned by the Kriegsmarine was U-1, a Type II submarine. It was launched on the 29th of June, 1935. It was followed by another 5 submarines of this type, and the first 6 U-boats formed the fleet of the Anti-Submarine Warfare School. The next submarine, U-7, was the first one in the combat fleet under the command of Karl Dönitz. It was launched with a ceremony that was attended by Adolf Hitler, who even went on board the U-7. By September 1939, the German U-boat fleet grew to 57 submarines. It's worth mentioning that because of German engagement in the Spanish Civil War 1936 to 1939, the total number of 14 U-boats have been deployed off Spanish coasts. All submarines were temporarily based at Spanish ports, with some of them being deployed several times. That provided a young U-boat fleet with extremely valuable experience, and many World War II famous commanding officers were gaining their experience from deployment to Spain, just to name Otto Kretschmer and Günther Prien. In September of 1939, German U-boats fleet consisted of 57 submarines. They were all assigned both to the training unit of the U-boat school and to a 6th Front flotillas. The mobilization plans existed since 1938, with the latest one dated 01/04/1939. German High Command finished plans on invading Poland in June 1939, and the planned Fall Weiss commenced in September 1939, starting the Second World War. First U-boats left their bases on the 25th of August with the main task of denying Polish naval forces to break through to the North Sea. They have failed their mission, as 3 Polish destroyers and 2 submarines have escaped to Great Britain, with 2 further Polish submarines escaping to Sweden. Many commanders did not expect France and Great Britain to go to war over Poland, and the British declaration of war against Germany, which took place on September 3rd, was a shock to many. So it has happened. And in the next couple of hours, commander of the U-30, Fritz Julius Lemp, was going to make a ghastly mistake.